Hey, I want to just take a quick moment. Thank you so much for all the likes, comments, all the support that you've shown Camp Benny YouTube channel this far. Hey, I get quite a few messages from different followers looking for ways to support the Camp Benny channel. We haven't gone as far as selling merchandise or anything like that, but there is a new feature that I just turned on, and it's the Super Thanks feature. So as you're watching a video, if you like it, simple way to thank us is to click on the Super Thanks, and you can send us a couple bucks. That revenue we take and we use to make improvements to camp, add oil to lamps, fuel to get back and forth up to camp. And as you may have noticed, the Camp Benny videos over the years have really started to improve in quality, and that's because we've upgraded our camera equipment. Are enjoying the videos? To click on the Super Thanks, flip a couple bucks, enjoy the show. Either way, the videos are going to continue to be free, and we really appreciate all the kind comments. Good luck this season. Good luck from our deer camp to yours. Bye now. Hey everybody, Ben here, and Dan. And Dan is with Whitetail Warriors Deer Camp, and we are incredibly excited to be meeting today for the first time.
First time, yeah. I drove over from the east side of the state to meet up with Ben today. Took a day off work and drove over here, and here we are.
Yeah, well, we were certainly super excited about this little meeting.
I was.
Yeah.
It was like opening day of deer season, right. Meeting a celebrity.
Come on. So, yeah, Dan and I thought we'd take a few minutes and volley a few questions about our deer camps. If you haven't already subscribed and followed to Dan's channel, I'd recommend you do that. His deer camp is in the UP.
Yep.
And of course Camp Benny as well, and we just have a lot in common. And we started to swap stories and share different things, and we thought, we should probably share some of this with you folks. So here we go. So I jotted down a few questions for us.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Dan, how do you guys handle food at camp?
Okay, well, we start off with my mom makes an awesome chili. Awesome chili. We bring that up. My wife makes cabbage soup and homemade sloppy joes.
Oh yeah.
Some years with venison, some years with not, depending on the previous year.
Makes sense.
And then we buy, I bring all our food up. We don't go to the grocery store when we get up there.
Okay.
So all the food is brought up with me, and I will, the night before we're gonna have something, I'll ask the guys what they want. I'm the camp chef. I'm the camp dishwasher. Mm-hmm. But that's all by choice. I get up 4 o'clock in the morning and I cook a killer breakfast. Bacon and eggs, sausage, toast, you name it, I can cook it. I enjoy doing that. Like I said, that's all by choice. However, they got to keep the wood bin full, the young bucks. Usually the first couple days I'm by myself. I don't have to worry about what I'm eating, what I'm not eating.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, when they come up, every morning I'll cook a breakfast, and then when we come in from hunting, making sure we're not tracking no deer, we'll sit down, I'll cook dinner. Whether it's the chili or the cabbage soup, or my mom also makes a homemade killer chicken noodle soup. Okay. One my grandmother used to have years ago, and I'll make that, or I'll cook on the barbecue, the gas grill. We'll have brats or chicken brat or chicken thighs, but that's about it. We bring all the food with us.
Okay, sure.
So, yeah, no grocery store.
Yeah. So we definitely do it different. I can tell you right now, I can't compete with, as soon as you hear mom's cooking, I'm pretty much out. But then you're cooking breakfast.
Yep.
I could maybe counter that with just making coffee. I mean, you guys are definitely eating better. But
yep. No, you don't eat as good at home as you do at deer camp.
Nice.
At mine anyway.
At your deer camp.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds pretty
I don't
darn
cook
good.
breakfast at home.
Okay.
So the only
yeah.
time I cook breakfast is up at deer camp.
Yeah,
And that's like a tradition for, I'm taking over what my dad started.
sure.
So,
That's awesome. So for us, you know, as far as food that we bring up enough so that we can make it to camp.
just in case.
Just in case, you know, the bridge might be closed. You never know.
Yeah, you never
things
know.
could get pretty bad. We've had that, certainly.
Knock
I
on
remember
wood
what
for
year
me.
that was that we got. We sat at the
2000.
bridge for like 8 hours.
It might have been 2008
That sounds about right.
because
The town was just shut down.
Yep.
You know, there's people taking leaks in
Yep.
parking lots.
I think it was
and-
8.
I mean, it was
yeah,
just clogged.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden they opened it like the floodgates and everybody crossing. But
I never had that
cool
happen
adventure.
yet.
Yeah.
Soon it's about to happen, but I never, not yet anyway.
Yeah.
Since '89.
So we bring up, you know, some jerky, various snacks, just to kind of, again, just to make the ride a little bit more comfy, I guess.
Oh, I should also mention, when you say snacks,
Yep.
my mom makes probably 4 to 5 dozen of homemade cookies too. Chocolate chip,
Seriously?
peanut butter, oatmeal.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she makes all that. My grandmother started that tradition years ago,
Okay.
and my mom she gets these big totes or Tupperware things full of cookies, and
Yep.
sometimes there ain't none coming home,
Oh,
but
I would
empty
imagine.
containers.
Yeah. So on our way up, I will say Nick's wife usually makes a batch of cookies. Chris's wife makes these chocolate covered cherries.
Oh,
Homemade.
yeah.
They're
I've
amazing.
seen them.
Chris usually makes a bunch of jerky homemade. So there's some good quality going on that ride for sure. Once we get to camp, we, you know, of course, hurry up, get things all set up and whatnot. And then the next day we go grocery shopping together and pick up, you know, anything else we need. One thing I did fail to mention is I challenge each guy in camp to be responsible for at least one meal for the week. So each guy generally does bring, you'll see quite a few pots coming up that got the bungee cord over the lid so it doesn't
Yep.
spill out all the chili or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll have, each guy will be responsible for a meal 100%, right down to doing dishes or whatever. We don't really do much for dishes. We do this thing called paper plates and forks, and we throw them away.
Yeah, we do too, but we also use the pots and pans to cook it. So
True.
I do
Yeah,
have.
we do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do have paper plates.
You probably warm it up on the stove or something
Yep.
to wash it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I got that 20-gallon hot water tank that sits
That
on
is
my
sweet.
stove. That when we use it to take showers, I leave it hooked up, and I do dishes every other day.
Okay.
So we don't do them every day, but we take showers every other day.
Okay.
So as the hose is hooked up, I just leave it hooked up, and then I can use it to do dishes.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah,
that's
I saw that in your video, that whole
yeah.
hot water system.
It sits right on the woods. That was given to me from a guy who had a camp up there years ago and didn't want it no more.
Okay.
So it's served its purpose.
Yeah. We call those
Constant hot
things
water.
like we call those things like the MVP of camp.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yep. Very nice. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about our first day arriving at camp. What's that look like?
Well, when I get up there, the first thing I do is get the wood stove going, because it takes almost a whole day to heat that cabin up. Because I don't have no insulation in there, and there's times when I go there that it's 5 to 10 degrees colder in the cabin than it is outside. So the first thing that gets done is the wood stove gets going. I get that all cranking. Then I got everything in totes because of the mice. And I start taking the bedding out of the totes, getting that all taken care of. Then I start unloading my truck, bringing all the food that can't freeze inside, and setting up all my coolers outside with all my, stuff that have to stay cool.
Yeah.
And then if time permits, I'll go check trail cameras or go start putting a blind here or a blind there. Or 9 times out of 10, I'm by myself for the first couple of days. So I'm in no hurry to get nothing done. But that's usually the first thing I do is get the wood stove going.
Okay.
So
with us, we leave generally around that 4 a.m. mark. Nick needs about 5 alarms that he needs to set so that he can actually show up on time so we can leave at 4 a.m. So somewhere between 4 and 6 a.m. we actually leave the house here. I invite the guys to come over the night before and actually get everything in the trailer. Yeah. I won't, mention any names, but we've maybe had a guy or two in camp that have gotten all the way here at 4 a.m. and they forgot their gun licenses,
it's funny,
stuff like that.
Funny you say that. The reason I know that was the year the bridge was closed was my cousins I was telling you about have a camp by Michigami. Drove all the way to the bridge. Forgot he left his rifle at home. Drove all the way home to get the rifle. Drove all the way back, and that's when the bridge was closed.
Oh man, that's brutal.
Left his right. How can you leave your rifle at home? Right. You're going deer hunting,
right?
Yep. Yeah, I just had to throw that in.
We've had it. Okay, so as soon as we get across the bridge, get up to camp, we're usually getting there, I don't know, noonish or so. And when we get to camp, we're just on a mission. I too quick get the wood burner jamming. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny. We say at camp, it sounds like the Titanic's going down or something. Everything's like thawing out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
cracking.
Yeah, all kinds of noises as that trailer just kind of thaws out.
Yep.
And so we get that good fire going, and then we head out right away to do our scouting, and we got to get our stands set. It's usually by the time the guys are getting back from camp. Generally they have a pretty solid plan already for the opener where they want to sit and set up. Might not be done, might have to finish up a little bit more, the next day or whatever. But generally they have a good indication of, where that fresh sign is, where they want to set their stands and get that set up. And that's pretty much our whole day is just to get there.
Takes a lot.
Yeah, get the camp thawed out and figure out where we're gonna hunt. That's like our priority.
That's a lot of work though, if you think about it. I mean, everybody thinks you just go there and plank your rear end in the woods, but there's a lot of planning involved.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for it to be, obviously, as you know, very bitter cold out.
Foot and a half of snow or...
Yeah. And the guys will come into camp, though, that evening, and they're in T-shirts, soaked head to toe in sweat, and the steam's just rolling off their back. Right off their back.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Ready for showers. Okay. What do you like about deer camp?
The camaraderie, the not worrying about the everyday life down home. I just like going up there and just relaxing. I've said it before, but I'm getting to the point now is I've shot a lot of deer, and I don't have to be. I'm not under pressure anymore. If I get a deer, that's when the work starts.
Yeah.
But no, I just enjoy going up there. I'd like all the preparation before it, the packing, the thinking about it, getting all the food together, all that, and then getting to camp and just relaxing. And not have to worry about my muddy boots in the house. I can, do what I want to do. Just relax. I just enjoy going to camp, and that's part of deer hunting to me. It's a lot different than deer hunting down home, even though it's better down home. But there's just something about being at deer camp, whether it's in northern lower Michigan or the UP of Michigan. It's like, okay, but when you're down home, you're going back home. It's to the person that never experienced a deer camp, it's hard for them to visualize. What are you talking about? As you know, and probably about 90% of the viewers watching this, they know what deer camp's about. And I've had people comment on some of my videos that they've never experienced a deer camp. What's it like? Oh, I hunt out of my backyard. Well, it's until you experience one, you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah.
And to the average Joe, like I said before, my buddies all say, well, that don't hunt, why you drive 400 miles to go deer hunt when there's deer right here? Well, it's totally different. The camaraderie and the fun we have at deer camp is second to none.
Right on.
That's how I look at it.
100%. I agree with all of that. You know, I was telling Dan earlier, I was just sharing about getting my first deer, and even though I got it behind my parents' house, I give all the credit to that coming together from my years of going up to deer camp and hearing from the old timers their stories. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have known what to do after the shot, things like that. So I learned so much in a deer camp. Just like woodsmanship skills,
how to survive out there.
Yeah, how to hunt, the weather patterns, you know, all these things that come in, wind. There's so much knowledge combined with people.
Yeah. Now you were fortunate enough to see that. I think you're saying before you really got that deer, right?
Exactly.
I was basically, I mean, I shared some camps with my dad. You know, we used to rent cabins in Grayling. They started in '73 on the Asabo River, you know, and I shared a couple camps there. But to get the full thing of it is, I got that from being up in the UP at our place since '89.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
You see old photos of old camps.
Mm-hmm.
You hear about old camps.
Mm-hmm.
My camp's been there since the '40s. So if walls could talk, I'm sure they could tell a few stories from, you know.
Right on.
You know, back, the old time loggers used to have camps up there.
Yep.
You know, I'm sure there's still a few standing up by me.
Yeah.
You know, they could tell some stories.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yep. Yeah, so I have very fond memories of, you know, I feel I was fortunate that I was in some camps that were, I'll call them pretty wholesome and clean camps.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that, you know, there couldn't have been some, you know, drinking and smoking and things going on, but overall, you know, people were holding it together pretty good, and and all for each other, no drama and things like that, and not there to tear each other down. They were all felt the sense that they should bring something to the table,
help one
be
another.
A taker, right?
Not always against one another, always helping each other out.
Yeah,
and that's what I strive to do.
And you could have those seasons where, you know, I think of as the regulars versus the kind of the one and doneers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the guy that shows up and kind of shoots the big buck and leaves.
Yeah.
You know, is he in there a full 2 days or whatever, and everybody else is there for 2 weeks? They're pretty committed.
Just like the guy in the poker game. The guy wins all the money, he's done playing.
Yeah.
Exactly the same.
Yeah. But I really appreciate just the teamwork that goes on. You know, I've tracked nice bucks. I've shot alone, and I can tell you it's nowhere near as fun as having a group of guys together, tracking a deer together. I mean, that's amazing. I don't care what size it is.
No.
It's just awesome, that anticipation, that excitement together, to be able to have that camaraderie is so special.
It's funny you say that, because I get more satisfaction out of somebody else in camp getting a deer than I do.
Sure, yeah, right.
Going to help them out, and like my son's buddy got one a couple years ago. I had helped him, and I gutted it for him. He was appreciative of it. Mm-hmm. But on the same token, I enjoyed doing it, and I was happy for the young man.
Yeah.
You know, I get more satisfaction out of that right now, this time in my career, than I do getting a deer myself. I like helping other people.
Sure.
So.
Well, there's probably at least 20 people watching this video right now that are really concerned about the fact that you didn't make them gut that deer.
Yeah,
what do you got to say about that, Dan?
I don't know, but I enjoy.
You on the spot.
Well, I enjoy doing it, because a lot of people, I've witnessed a lot of guys gutting deer that you could tell they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
You know, and took it back to camp and didn't. You know, you can't leave all that stuff sitting in there. You know, you hit the guts or you hit the bladder or whatever. You know, you got to wipe all that stuff out of there after you get back. You know, you did. Yep. And I've just seen a lot of guys do it wrong.
Yeah.
And so I just thought I'd help them out.
Right.
So I got my my deer gut and gloves on, and
Yep.
which I've been made fun of, and get blood on your hands, and blah, blah, blah. I got the ones that go all the way up to here, and away I go.
Yeah.
So,
Well, one thing I know is you did the right thing, and it's none of their business if they have a problem with that.
yeah,
Because you're an experienced, seasoned hunter. You own a camp owner. It's your camp.
Mm-hmm.
And so if those 20 people have a problem with that, I just figured I'd offer it up for Lolly of...
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, a lot of people don't know how to do it, and they're afraid to ask.
Yeah.
And I won't say no names, but there was a gentleman at my camp before that wouldn't admit that he didn't know what he was doing. And I could tell.
Yep. Right.
So I said, would you like me to help you?
Then you start worrying about the knife, you know,
Yeah.
if they're holding it, they're going to hurt themselves, right?
He admitted to me that he didn't know what he was doing, and he would appreciate it if I helped him. So that's how that all got started, me helping other people gut their deers.
Right. And that's a judgment call that you made, right?
Yeah.
This is best that I step in and do this now.
Mm-hmm.
Now the next guy, you might think, well, he needs to buck up a little. He's capable, you know, he can do this. So maybe you won't step in and do it for that guy. But that's a judgment call that you make. And anybody that's watching, observing through a video, they don't pick up on, they don't know any of the backstory is all I'm getting at.
That's one of the things where that's something you learn on hand. Video can show you a lot, but gutting a deer is something that you're going to learn either A, watching somebody, or B, finding out the mistakes you made that you don't do. And that's, I think a video can help you, but you're not really going to get the true test unless you do it yourself.
Yeah. Until
you do it yourself, you're going to make mistakes. I made mistakes, but the mistake is, okay, well then clean it all out when you're done. A lot of guys just don't clean it out. I've been to butchers here. I took my 2 deer I got last year, I took it to a processor, and the one deer still had the green stomach inside of it, where they hit it.
Yeah.
I mean, now that deer can't, ain't gonna be too tasty.
Right.
That's where I think a lot of people get the wrong idea. Oh, the deers don't taste no good, or the deer tastes better in southern Michigan versus the UP. Well, it all stems on how you take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you take care of it the right way and don't, put it in the warm weather, it can taste just as good as down home deer. But it all stems on, after the shot was taken, how it's taken care of. Now, some people might disagree, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I totally agree with you. As well as shot placement.
Yep.
Spine shooting a deer and it's adrenaline and it's lived a long time. The adrenaline flowing through everything. I think certainly bears some weight in that as well.
Yep.
Yep. Do you have any good hunting stories you want to share?
One that I'll remember like it was yesterday. It was 2008, and we had a lot of snow on the ground. And I was hunting a new area, and I put those reflective tacks in the tree.
Yep.
And I was going out to this spot. I had another guy with me that was gonna go about 400 yards beyond where I was. And as we were walking out there, my flashlight hit. I thought it was the tacks, but it was a set of eyes. So I thought it was a deer. We just kept on going. I got to my blind. Well, then he kept on going to his blind. I got in the blind. It's about 20 after 6 in the morning. And the wolf hollered. It was like right next to me. I had just poured a cup of coffee, and needless to say, I was wearing that coffee. That's how close. Not only one, not only two, not only three, 4 of them come walking down the trail, all wearing radio collars. There was a full moon out and probably 5-6 inches of snow on the ground, so it was like daylight at 6:30. You know how it is when got that much snow in that.
Yep.
Long story short, they circled my blind for about 10 minutes. Meanwhile, I was yelling on top of my lungs, get out of here, get out of here. And my buddy was calling me on the radio, wanting to know what was going on. And I said, I'm getting ready to shoot. Because I was hunting out of a pop-up nylon blind.
Were they making any noises?
They were growling,
Growling.
showing me their teeth.
Wow.
And it wouldn't take much for them to rip that nylon blind.
Yeah.
So it was either shoot a warning shot or what. But they finally took off, and they just walked away and left me, which was a good thing. But now I screwed up my whole morning hunt. I mean, I was screaming at the top of my lungs. I had a few choice words that we won't say,
Yep.
but they did leave, and then my buddy came over and I showed him where they walked around the blind. Well, little did I know was I had some mock scrapes out there with dough and heat in, and I had a local guy tell me, he says they smelt that dough and heat and they were taking you as a doe. So, but I didn't get hurt, nothing really happened, but that's the closest I came from with the wolves. But everybody said, why didn't you shoot him? Why didn't you shoot him? Well, I didn't want to face the consequences of shoot. You know how it is, you shoot one, you know, but they took off, you know, but they all had radio collars on. I didn't, you know.
Yeah.
It's all in the heat it's the heat of the moment, you know.
Right.
Oh, you should have did this, you should have did that. Well, you weren't sitting there, you weren't this, you don't know. You know, that was the last thing I wanted to do was shoot them.
Yeah.
But had they come into the blind or started getting at the blind, something else probably would have happened.
Yeah.
But
There's
I will
a line.
I will never forget that. And there's a couple other ones that one year the DNR came knocking on my cabin door at 3 o'clock in the morning, wanting to know where the deer is. Well, I was in a dead sleep, didn't know anything what they were talking about. They had 2 DNR officers came. The one wanted to know where my gun was, that I had the clip. I had my clip full of bullets on the table. Well, when I'm up there deer hunting, I don't know about you guys, but I don't bring my gun hot to cold, cold to hot. Once I get up deer hunting, once I get up there to hunt, my gun stays in my truck, just so it's always the same temperature. Well, I tried to explain that to him and he wasn't buying it. Where's the gun for this? And I told him it was in my truck. So I went and got it, you know, and he's sniffing it for gunpowder and this and that. The other DNR guy, he's out. I had some pumpkins out 50 yards from the cabin, and he's telling me I had too much bait out. I said, well, for starters, I'm not hunting here. I just busted these pumpkins up for the deer, you know. Well, long story short, they had logged by me, and out at the 2-track, the main road getting back to my camp, you could see my cabin from the road.
Okay.
Well, I usually leave a nightlight lit on the table at night because it's so dark, you know, so I have to go. Well, somebody shot guns off at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning and drove by and saw the light, called the DNR and said it was me.
Gotcha.
But them are the 2 stories that'll always stick out. You know, when you're up there, especially at my camp, when you're laying in bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and someone's pounding on the door, what do you, who the hell's here now, you know? So,
Right.
hey, it was the DNR.
Wow.
But what really got me was he said he never heard of somebody leaving their gun in their truck and not bringing it in their cabin at the end of the hunt. And I said, well, that's what I do so my gun don't go
Yeah.
from temperature to temperature.
Sure.
That and the wolf story will always be with me when somebody asks me like you just did about hunting stories.
Yeah.
Them are the 2.
They're right at
Yep.
the forefront. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. That whole process with the DNR, was that like a couple hours? I mean, was
Yeah,
it
it took-
daytime by the time they...
Yeah, it took
Yeah. Did you miss your hunting that morning then? Or?
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they didn't leave till, I don't know, they were there for a couple hours. They were
Yeah.
looking.
You can see their side.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
their side, but he also
Yet
wanted.
it's not. I think plenty of people leave it in the truck. You know.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. We it's a mix batch for our camp. You know, like mine. I'm bringing. I have a gun rack in camp,
Yep.
And then usually, you know, I prefer that the bolts open on those, you know, guns while they're in camp. You know, nobody's going to get shot unless the barrel is pointed in the wrong direction, right? And you know, they say many people have died from an unloaded gun, right? They thought it was unloaded, but it wasn't. So if the action's open, even if it were to go off on its own, there should be no accidents, and the muzzles are pointed upward, you know, at that point.
But anyway, he wanted to know if I had any more guns in camp, which I did. I had a shotgun and my muzzleloader, because I always bring those with me. Yep. And he wanted to see those as well and smell them. And then they came back. They had left and came back in daylight and searched the whole area. Okay. They thought there was a dead deer there.
They're still in doubt. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So them 2 DNR officers aren't in our area no more.
Oh yeah.
So, but those are the 2 stories.
Well, for me, one that comes to mind right away is many years ago. It kind of has some similarity to your story. I was walking down to a stand we call a creek stand, and in the dark, and I heard a wolf howl. It was off in the distance, but it still was just kind of like a reminder that I'm not alone out there. So I was sharing that with after that hunt with the guys back at camp and stuff, and we were just, you know, you always run those scenarios through your mind, the what ifs, you know, what if you had the standoff, what would you do, you know, all those kinds of things, and you know, just a position that we don't want to be in, frankly. Well, so one evening I had a coyote come, and it was drinking out of the creek. I did a little, picked up its head, it went to go to the downwind side. I shot it. Like, awesome, you know, it's my first coyote ever. Even though I'm deer hunting, you know, but you know, coyotes gotta be knocked down, right?
Yep.
So I went down and looked at it, and it just smelled like trash. It was a huge male coyote. It was beautiful, but just smelled like trash. So bad that I went back to my stand, which was a 20-footer, took the bow rope, tied it around it, and then tied it to my belt loop and hauled it back to camp, but with it like 20 feet behind me dragging on the ground. So I want to show the guys, you know, coyote. Wasn't sure what I was going to do as far as a mount or a rug or anything like that, because it smelled so awful. I can't imagine riding in our trailer vehicle. I think, yeah, it would just destroy everything. So I get halfway back to camp, and I start getting this idea of, I'm thinking of my nephew and how something like this might kind of freak him out if he were to come across, you know, a coyote. First thought I figured he would think is wolf, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm halfway back to camp. I go ahead and I untie it, and I put it right under like a pine bough. Get back up to camp, and I tell my brother Chris right away, you know, kind of what happened, whatnot. Meanwhile, Nick is coming back from a piece of public that he was hunting back to the trailer. And so I said, watch this. So Nick walks into the trailer. He's like, hey guys, you know, what'd you see? And we all kind of did some small talk and whatnot. I said, hey Nick, your Uncle Ben shot himself a small deer. I said, and I kind of twisted my knee coming back to camp trying to pull it back. Can you do me a favor and just go back down that logging road and just haul it up the rest of the way? It's not a big deer, so it shouldn't be a big deal. It's like, oh yeah, I got you, no problem, like he would typically respond. I mean, it's just so helpful. And so he's got one of those, like, what do they call them, Cyclops lights, you know, the one
on top of his hat there.
Yeah, on his head. And so he heads out behind camp, and we're all just kind of watching out the back window, and you can see kind of the headlamp going like this, do 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 do, and it's heading.
And you left the rope on it, right?
Yeah, yeah. So then he gets to the pine bough, and you can see his head lamp kind of going like this. All of a sudden, it's like, I think he found it, and I guarantee you his first thoughts is, oh my gosh, this is a wolf. So yeah, it was just a fun little prank amongst camp that got a lot of good laughs. Well, I got one other story. So it was a year I got drawn for a bear tag, one of the years. And so we brought up a big, huge barrel of bait, 55-gallon drum. It was, according to the place where we bought it, it was close to 500 pounds for this thing. Plus we got the big like jugs of grease, like you fryer grease that you get from the restaurants, some 5-gallon buckets, blah, blah, blah. So we get up to camp late that afternoon and we go ahead and unload the bait. That night we're all sleeping in the trailer and I'm hearing this clink, 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 and it's just kind of quiet. And then I see my brother Chris, I hear him get up and he's got to go to the bathroom, so he just heads out the door. I hear clink, 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 clink. Yeah, I'm coming in and out of sleep, whatnot. Next thing you know, I get up and sun is starting to rise at this point, and I go to the bathroom too. So I walk out by the outhouse, and I just gotta go number one, you know. So I'm standing there and do, and I look over at the 55-gallon drum. It's gone. It's just gone. It's not even there. Like, there's only one thing that can do that. Then I just remember that we had the 5-gallon jug of fryer grease next to that, and it just smashed like a pancake. Like, oh boy, so now I'm going like this. So I finish up business real quick, and I go, and Chris's truck was really blocking my view from it, but that barrel was probably 100 yards away.
From his truck?
Black bear just had come right up to camp. Wasn't real wise for us to bring bear bait into a camp like that anyways, but it was definitely something I'll remember.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah. Yep. Tell me about your memory of a worst weather year.
2014. See, for a few years there, with work and schedule and all that, I couldn't go opening day for a few years in a row because of work. So my cousins who had that camp in Michigami, they couldn't get to it. They have a 3-mile long driveway and they couldn't open their truck doors because there was so much snow. So, but they had to get in there because their camp is a log home with running water and everything out in the boonies. They got solar power and hot water showers and regular running water. Well, they had to go in there and winterize it. And they had to walk 3 miles to get to their place to do all that. So they called and wanted to know if they could use our camp until I got there. And I said, yeah, no problem, you know. So, because we didn't have as much snow as they did, but we still had snow. And I remember once I got up there, it snowed some more and it snowed some more. It didn't stop snowing for days. And I can remember walking out to my stand almost waist deep of snow. And the deer were gone, you know. But I made the best of it, you know. I still stayed up there, but
Yep.
It was 2014. I believe that's when it was, when all that snow came. But yeah, it was bad. Then I've also had it where 2 years ago or 3 years ago, a big storm came through and trees were falling left and right, you know, and they get that heavy wet snow. You know, it was like widowmakers out in the woods. It was like,
Oh yeah.
it was like dangerous to even be out there. You know, and I had one fall not too far from my blind, and I said, no, I'm done. You know, I'm not going to sit out here with, because all that heavy snow was just them. See, by me, I got a lot of jack pine, so it don't take much to topple them jack pines.
They could make a mess in a hurry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they were, you know, one, like I said, it was probably 20, 30 yards from my blind, and I heard it cracking, you know, and then I didn't know where it was coming from, you know, because when you're in a blind like that, sounds are different, you know, and then all of a sudden I just, boom, it just fell, and I'm like, well, it's time to go, you know, because I don't know if you remember this, but there was a guy at up there bow hunting not too long ago, and I forgot, it was on the west end. He was staying in a tent, and the storm came through and killed him. Fell on his tent. He was up there bow hunting.
Well,
I'd have to ask around, but I forgot the year. But yeah, it was bad. 2014.
yeah. Memorable ones for me are definitely, and I think you said earlier they were for you too, 05.
Yep.
Opener was fine, but it was that evening. We just got pounded by morning. We had 20 to 24 inches of snow. Definitely made hunting difficult. You're going out to find your stand and everything just looks different.
Yep.
You know, you got what you used for. You felt like you didn't need anything to let you know where you were as far as you know, different monuments out there or whatever. But suddenly, just everything just looks like a wall of snow. Right?
Yep.
So that was temp just plummeted crazy. 14, I would have to agree.
Yeah, it was
probably
bad.
the worst. 15 is close there too. That was frigid. I remember sitting in that box blind and it was 4 degrees, and that doesn't account for a wind chill. And we had all of 20 inches of snow. But 14 was so bad just because getting in and out of camp was so brutal, as you've seen in the past Camp Benny videos where we had to get a couple of tow trucks to get us out. And you know, everybody had a story to share. That was quite the adventure, but that kind of makes it all fun.
You know, I think we all would agree that 4 to 5 inches of snow for deer hunting is probably the ideal.
Yeah.
Because, you know, them deer stick out like a sore thumb when you got any type of snow on the ground versus no snow. You know, they stick out, you know, you can see them for miles, you know, and that.
Yeah.
But anything over a foot of snow, I just think that the deer over by me anyway, they just start headed to the yards.
Agreed.
You know.
It's like a ghost town for
Yeah.
us. They're out of there. If you
Yeah.
get that 20 inches, it's
They're gone to the yards. Now, like when they get a lot of snow, like I've said before, when they get, because I'm just south of the snow belt, when they start getting all that snow to the north, it pushes them deer south, and we'll start seeing a lot of deer when that happens, you know, because they're all. In fact, a local up there told me that the DNR actually pays people to sit along US or M28 or to count how many deer are coming through, crossing up by the Seney. You've heard of the Seney stretch. They actually have people count how many deer are crossing to come south. I think that's a waste of money, but then again, we won't comment on that. Deer hunting in the UP isn't a walk in the park. You know that as well as I know that. But I just enjoy going up there and hunting. Yes, you got probably better deer hunting right in your backyard here. You know, I got access to private property down home too. But it's just a thrill of going to deer camp.
yeah.
You know, and I will, as long as my health lets me, I'm going to keep doing it. Like I said, there was one year that I shared a camp all by myself. Was it boring? Yeah, but I made the best of it.
Yep.
You know, I made the rounds. I went what they call camp hopping. Went to other people's camps. In fact, people had me over for Thanksgiving dinner, and this people had me over. I mean, it was just, I made a lot of friends years ago doing that. Now I know more people. I think that was the nice thing about it. I met probably 30 different people. 30 different camp owners by just stopping in and, oh yeah, you want a beer or you want this? And come on in, we're watching Monday Night Football. You know, it's just, everybody's friendly.
Yeah.
And I found, it was boring being at camp by myself. But like I just did the best I could. Because you, I don't know about you, but you wait all year to go deer hunting. And time's limited. You know, we don't even know if we'll, heaven help us, if we'll be here for this deer season. You I take it one season at a time. You know, I don't think about next year, not this coming up year, but I start thinking about next year as soon as this season ends. And you just got to cherish those moments and put all your problems behind you and just enjoy it.
Right on.
So,
What would you say to all those fellows out there or gals that are watching this that aren't part of a deer camp today?
Well, hit up my email and maybe you come up to my place. No, try to find somebody. You know, just get out there and, you know, ask around. I'm sure you know somebody that goes to a deer camp that maybe you could get invited to. And if you do get the invite, cherish it, enjoy it. You know, don't go in there, you know, I tell people to come up to my place, you're not guaranteed anything but a good time.
Yeah.
You know.
Especially if you show up with a good attitude.
Yep, show up with a good attitude and help out. You know, like, can I do this or can I do that? See, like, I don't have any food plots or any of that because I only got 5 acres.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but we have, you know, I get wood. You got to get wood, and there's all different kind of camp chores that I have. Every 5 years, I paint the outside of my cabin. You know, but ask around. I'm sure you can find somebody that has a deer camp and once you get into one, cherish it because there's nothing like it.
Yep.
I don't know how you feel, but that's just my opinion. Ask around. I'm sure you could find somebody.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you can't find anybody, you always got the option to just start your own deer camp.
Yeah, start your own. Even if it's putting up a tent or renting a camper or something. That's how it used to be years ago up by me. You go out my cabin driveway, about 2 miles up the road, going to the north. There was tents and campers all the way to the end. That was back in the early 90s. You drive that same road now, come the 17th of November or the 16th of November, there isn't one person up there. Yes, the deer herd is down, but there used to be camps after camps all the way up that road. In fact, I'm going to go back to one other story I forgot to mention. 2008, we had a lot of snow. I got up there on the 12th of November. I was walking down the driveway out to the main 2-track. And at the time, I'd say it was $1 million motorhome pulling a Jeep with no snow yet. There was no snow on the ground. Pulling a Jeep behind him. He stopped and got out. Said, yeah, I understand there's some state land around here. I said, well, all this is private, which it wasn't. I said, but if you go up this road 2 miles and go over a little bridge, that's all state land over there. And I said, but I'm going to tell you one thing, if it snows, you better get this thing out of here, because they had about this much ground clearance.
Oh, man.
So it snowed, and it snowed, and it snowed, and it snowed. So I didn't think nothing of it because I didn't hunt up that way. I didn't go to see if they made it out or not.
Yep.
So that Christmas time, I went up snowmobiling, and I came in from the north down our road, come around the corner, and there that motorhome sat there till spring because he got snowed in.
Oh man.
Yeah. And I told them, I said, we get any type of snow and they're calling for it, you better get it out. And they never did. So, and another thing too, if you ever hunt the UP, you got to go prepared for any type of weather. Snow, cold. I mean, it might be 50, 60 degrees. You know that. You know, I've had years where it was warm. I was on a long sleeve t-shirt.
Yep.
But you also have to be dressed for, because the weather up there can change in no time. And then you may, because there was a year, 1989, I think it rained. It just poured rain the 14th and the 15th. Come the 16th, it snowed, and they had, my brothers said they had snow up there all the way to end of April. So you never know.
Yep.
If you hunt the UP, you got to be prepared for the worst. It never hurts to have. You can always take warm clothes off, but you can't add them on.
Yep.
So that's
Yeah,
about.
so
really.
if you haven't tried it before, find a mentor, find somebody who's been there or done that. I'm sure they got plenty to share. I wouldn't be afraid, but I'd have respect, for the big woods in general.
Oh yeah, you got to respect it, because it'll bite you.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask, and don't be afraid to carry a compass, because you could get lost easily up there. You could walk for miles until you come up to a main road.
Yep.
You know, you'll be in a swamp and you have no idea where you're at. You know,
it could all look the same in a hurry.
Yep.
Yeah. Good
But
times.
no, it was. You know, I'm glad I came out.
I am too.
You know, I got to finally meet you.
Yeah. Swap
know,
some good deer hunting stories.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
Deer
Just
camp
one
life.
side note, Whitetail Warriors Deer Camp, if you get a chance, check it out. Greatly appreciate the support.
Right on.
Appreciate it.
Definitely do that. Yeah, you spun up that channel last fall? Or was
Last
it the
fall.
fall before
Yeah,
that?
and no, it was last fall. I started it last Labor Day weekend. It's coming up on a year.
Okay.
And I'm trying to do more as I go, but all I'm working with right now is with a cell phone, so I'm trying to upgrade as I go, but I'm doing the best I can. So maybe one day I'll be as good as this guy. He's got a few years under his belt. So
Well, I appreciate you making the hike over.
yes, sir.
It's a very rainy day. If you,
Yep.
I don't know if the microphone's picking up all the rain, but we got
Yeah, it is pouring now.
unusual amount for August. But I know my corn out back is really appreciating it. My pond's really low, so yeah. But awesome.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Dan.
Well, appreciate you letting me come out.
Yeah, make sure you check out Dan's channel, and thanks for listening to us
Jabber.
squawk here for
Yeah.
good however long, and good luck to you all this season.
Yep.
From our deer camp to yours.